Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Now it's probably going to be an issue on the other side. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me see. Can you guys hear me okay? Um, okay, you can hear me, Miller? Okay, I'm going to try something else, okay? Just give me 1 second. I'm going to ask you if you can hear me again, and then let me know. Hold on, okay? Okay, can you guys hear me now? I probably can't do it that way. I was trying to do something because I wanted to read you guys something while I'm driving. Well, not while I'm driving, but I wanted y'all to read y'all something while I'm on the go. You can hear me now, but you couldn't hear me before. Just a couple of minutes ago, when I was saying hello, you guys couldn't hear. You can hear again. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have to stay inside of here because I don't know what is going on. Okay. So let me do something really quick. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay now. I should. That should have been dropped from the stage. Hold on. Okay. Um. Let me try something. I'm gonna ask you guys again. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, you guys, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna drop myself from the stage. Hold on 1 second. And because I was trying to do something, I wanted to be able to read you guys something, but it's okay. I'm going to grab my lunch really quick, so I wanted to come and talk to you guys real quick. So I was listening to the committee hearing that is going on right now. A bunch of Donald Trump's national security advisors are being questioned right now in regards to our national security, right? And so I posted on my wall the hearing details for you to watch. And everybody knows, like, I am constantly, like, I am consuming news like 24/7. I don't just consume like trash news, gossip, celebrity gossip, entertainment. I'm also aware of what is happening in the world 24/7. I have all type of news apps. I have news apps that come from other other countries that are on my phone, and so I'm constantly being inundated with news around the world. But I did not hear this, and this is why I wanted to come and tell you guys this, because if I didn't hear it, I didn't see anybody else say anything about it, and I thought that this is a big deal, okay? So I'm going to post the article because I wanted to read you this article, but because I'm on the move, I'm having difficulty. I was trying to see if I could get into the StreamYard app. I should have tried to log into Streamlabs because I think I would have been able to do it then, but it's okay. We already on this live, so I'm going to keep us here. So Donald Trump, okay. One of the House of Representative members is questioning the attendees at the hearing, and they asked a question in relation to an email that went out to donors. Went out in regards to trying to attract new donors to a Trump super PAC. And what the email says is, this has me like blown. I'm not surprised, but blown at how he even keeps continuing to get away with this. The email offers for people who donate to receive Donald Trump's private national security briefings. So for a fee, whatever amount that is, and then it's advertised and it says limited spaces. Spaces are limited. So all you have to do is pay a fee, and you will have access to Donald Trump's security briefings, private security briefings. Briefings, exactly, Tess, briefings that he don't even want to get. He told them he don't even want them. Like, that's how he's making decisions just off the whim. Because he doesn't like to read, so he doesn't read whatever brief they prepare for him in the morning. We don't even know if somebody's reading a brief to him when they prepare these briefs for him in the morning. But then he's offering donors to a Trump super PAC to receive his private security briefing. This shit is crazy as hell. Y'all, I had to come and do a lunchtime live to tell y'all this. I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, this man keeps on monetizing everything coming from that White House. Exactly, Cookie. Everything. The most illiterate. Exactly. Everything coming from that White House, that man is monetizing. And this is a violation. All of this is violation of emoluments clauses, but he is also violating, like, it has to be a violation of campaign finance. Like, I don't, this is crazy as hell. Listen. And then, so last night when I was listening to the news, there was one of the commentators on there, and they was making comments, and every time they were making a comment, after, like, included in the comment was, and this is not what the people who voted him were looking for. And I finally just started screaming. It was like, I don't give a fuck what the people who voted for him. I don't care about them. They know this is what they was getting. The people who voted for him, they knew yes, it's a hearing going on right now. They are, you can get it on PBS. Any hearing, any Senate or House of Representative hearing committee, meetings, you can always get them on PBS normally is streaming them. C-SPAN always has them on, and you can go to like into different rooms, and you can get it without the commentating. So the news, like your news channels, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, all of them, they will also bring you parts of the hearing depending on what the hearings are about, because sometimes they are just giving comments on the hearings and might show you only clips or excerpts of the hearings. But if the hearing is like really, really, really important to them, they will show the entire hearing on those channels. But when you go into PBS or C-SPAN, you get to get it without any commentating. So that's what I would suggest. Like, it's the same thing how, like, when you go on Court TV versus Law and Crime, you know, when you watch something on Court TV, you're getting those cases as commentators. They are the analysts are commentating on the court cases. But when you watch Law and Crime TV, it's free of commentating. They might commentate in between breaks, and they'll give you like little things or whatever, but generally it's just to the courtroom. It's just streamed into the courtroom, and you don't really get anything else. So if you want to watch the hearings without any interruptions, you can normally go to PBS or C-SPAN, and that's where you can do it. But yes, there's a hearing right now. Tulsi and Kash Patel are part of the individuals who are being questioned in this hearing. But Pete Hegseth is not there. And Marco Rubio is not there. And Ken, one of the counterintelligence security advisors, he just quit. And the reason that he quit is that he said that what is going on now did not have to go on. There was no imminent threat. So we can expect to probably either see him in a Senate hearing committee, or we're going to see him probably either we're going to see him in a committee hearing soon with the Senate or the House of Representatives, or we are going to end up seeing him. We're going to end up seeing him used by campaigners on the Democratic side to say that they will bring him in once the midterms are over with, right? So one way or the other. If the Republicans will not allow him to come in order to testify before any committee, then we will see him used during this campaign season for midterm elections to say that they will bring him in order to question him, to find out why did he resign, right? So that is another thing. But I had to come and talk to you guys about this shit. Yo, this is crazy. Like, how do you offer civilian people, like, he is not even briefing the Gang of Eight, and the Gang of Eight are supposed to receive information. Those are the heads of the of those are the head senators in the House and in the Senate, make up comprised of that, and then some other National Intelligence Committee members, right, that are part of the Gang of Eight. They are not even being briefed. They are not even being briefed about what is going on. That this attack that he just did, they did not even know. This is the thing. They knew because they were getting intelligence from other intelligence sources, but not directly from our own intelligence sources. They were asking questions to the administration. Were they planning an attack? They were being lied to and told, no, we are not. So the Gang of Eight wasn't even briefed about what plans and what was intended to go on. But he has a campaign flyer. It is a flyer. Wait until you got, like I said, I'm gonna post the link so that you can see the and read the article for yourself. And there is it is entered into evidence into the hearing committee that they had today. There is an email sent out by Trump Super PAC that says that they, for donation, they will receive this private security briefing that the president receives. And then there's another bulletin that goes out with the email that says spaces are limited. This shit crazy, right? It was no threat to the United States. None, Tears. None. And if they don't think that this is going to, like, now they have a justification for why they want to acquire weapons of mass destruction. Because this is a threat to their sovereignty. This is a threat to their self-determination. And I understand American policy, and us, we looking at those countries as threats, whatever their propaganda is, and all of that. But a lot of we cannot forget the history of the world. We cannot, when we talk about this whole thing, right? And the backdrop of all of these relations comes from crusades, and it comes from before the world even knew there was another side of the hemisphere. That the distrust level of people from there was already strained. Like, when you think about the fact of them trying to launch out and go on a voyage to find another path to get to India. This is how, in history anyway, for those of us who believe the American history that is written down, or at least some of it, this is what caused them to go out and look how to find another way to get to India, because they could not get through the Silk Roads that were occupied by the Persians and the Muslims in order to trade with India. They did not trust them. They did not want those Europeans coming through there. So the history of distrust between people in those regions just carried over into then, when they found the other side of this hemisphere, and then they saw what these Europeans did on this side of the hemisphere. And why would you trust anyone? Yes, there are these are religious regimes that they are very authoritarian, very they are run by tyrants. I do not dispute that, but you have to think about the relations between that side of the hemisphere prior to them discovering, or not discovering, but knowing that we have another side of the hemisphere, and then look at what they have to go on when this side of the hemisphere was discovered, what they did to people. Like, they look at this as hypocrisy. They look at this as, you said Kamala tried to warn everybody, but they said she didn't. They said that she didn't want an emotional woman, but we have emotional. Exactly. I think that's worse, and not to mention Twitter fingers shaking my head. So it is worse than unprofessional. This is a sickness that this man has. He didn't cut off the power grid going over there to Cuba. He threatened to send missiles through the houses of the cartels. This is just too much. This is just too much. That he increased tariffs on Switzerland to 39%. A 39% tariff. First he had it at 30. Then he said he got a phone call that he didn't like from the prime minister, which it is no prime minister. And then he referred to the person who called him as a she. And then he had an interview to say, I think it was the prime minister. Like, the fact that he is not even sure. So then he increases tariffs from the 30% to 38 or 39%. And then he says, and then he got some kind of call or some kind of backlash. So he decided to soften it up a bit. Like, this shit is crazy as hell. This man is crazy. And I told y'all, and so many other people told y'all, and all y'all worried about was whether, listen, gas prices have gone to over $1 in less than 2 weeks. I am not hearing any of the same people who were talking about the raising of prices saying anything. Everything is high. Nothing is being done about these prices. All he is doing, he is going to cost us more money to fund these damn wars that he's getting us in. And let me tell you, Iran, they are not scared. This is crazy. You said they are going to bomb us in the United States eventually. This president is unhinged. Exactly. China and NATO have already said we are not stepping in to provide any foot security for the Strait of Hormuz, right? They're not going to. So then you have to think about how that ends up taking up crude oil. What does that do for our global economy? Like, this is crazy as hell. This is crazy as hell. He did this with no thought, nothing how this was going to impact us around the world. We have a partial government shutdown. TSA people are not showing up. This is a threat to our national security. TSA had to be heightened after 9/11 because of what happened with 9/11. Now we got TSA workers who are not showing up to work. Because there's a partial shutdown, so they are already working short staffed. This shit is crazy as hell. Like, none of this was thought well. None of it. And I feel like he is doing all of this to create some type of crisis. I feel like he is doing this. And if you guys watch Don Lemon on his channel on YouTube, he talks about this often. And a lot of people like just dismiss it. But he is always listening to news anchors and what they are saying, and then he goes back to his administration to try to find out how he can put something in the works. And it has been said by several news anchors, including on Don Lemon, that they are wondering if he's trying to create some kind of crisis so that he can stop elections. And I don't put it past this fool. I don't. This is what tyrants do. This is how people in these other countries do this stuff. And everybody thinks it's never going to happen to the United States. Oh, no, we have all of these things. For all of these people who have so much confidence in the United States, I want to have the same kind of confidence too. However, I don't know what it is. We are so arrogant as one of the youngest nations in this fight, in this world, in the globe. Like, we are one of the youngest nations. We think our level of sophistication puts us so high above everyone else. But these people have been surviving through the worst catastrophes that the world has to offer, right? And we are one of the youngest nations on the map. And yes, we are a strong nation, but I don't think that we should be taken for granted that we can be infiltrated, penetrated, compromised. Like, these are possibilities. They are possibilities. And this man, all of the stuff that he's being allowed to do now should have people concerned and worried. Like, he shouldn't be able to do the stuff he's doing now. Why is he able to be in the White House and allowing a fundraiser to be going out where donors can receive his private national security briefing? That should not be allowed. No other president would be allowed to do something like that. Hey, purple boo, how you doing? You said absolutely. What he's trying. Yes, I mean, this is crazy. You said, Tears, you said he had also been trying to race bait Black Americans, taking away history, but we are aware of him. Most of us are, because some of them are listening. Some of these Black people been listening to this fool. I don't know what's going on. I don't. And I don't know, like, even from the time of the election, right? When I would get on and try to talk about how his immigration policy is not just going to hurt the people that we think, but also hurt us as Black Americans, right? I kept trying to say that. But no, it was like Black Americans did not want to hear that. Like, I'm like, do you realize you are sanctioning racial profiling? Your very ideas and the stuff that you are saying in relation to immigrants shows that you are sanctioning racial profiling. Something that our ancestors have been fighting ever since the Fugitive Slave Act. This is the thing. We've prior to slavery, I don't use that as a marker when I talk about racial profiling because they were slaves, right? So I mark profiling from the Fugitive Slave Act, right? That's my marker in U.S. history. And what the Fugitive Slave Act did was say, anyone who might be thought to be a slave or a runaway, like Black people, people were running from the South to the North, right? Because you had partial slave states, partial free states, right? And they were running from the South to the North. They had to show their freedom papers, right? If you showed your freedom papers, that still did not mean you were okay. There were many people, Black people, who they took to the South and enslaved them and ripped their freedom papers up and tore them up. Those papers didn't mean nothing. Their freedom papers didn't mean shit. And this is something that I kind of like talk about with my kids. When Hey, Miller Boo. I hope hopefully I said hi to everybody. But yeah, this is something that I talk about with my kids because the week before Trump went to go do what he did with Maduro, my kids were over in Puerto Rico because their grandfather's body was taken back there. Their grandfather passed away, and so they went back there to go bury him. And so I always, every time they go to Puerto Rico, because one of my daughters, she's in Puerto Rico like every month, right? And then the other kids, they go periodically, but one of my daughters, I think eventually she's gonna end up moving there, but she is like there like every month. So I kept trying to warn them, like, you guys, y'all need to be careful because a lot of people don't know Venezuela is a speedboat ride from Puerto Rico. Like you can take a speedboat from Venezuela to Puerto Rico and from Puerto Rico to Venezuela. And I think about maybe 20 years ago, this is one of the reasons why Puerto Ricans had to be issued new birth certificates because there were a lot of Venezuelans fleeing Venezuela to come to the United States with documents from Puerto Ricans, right? They were selling it. They were selling their documents to Venezuelans, and then they would come to America with those documents. And so Puerto Rico required anyone born in Puerto Rico, they had to be issued a new birth certificate that had this special seal. And that was how they were trying to deal with this issue that happened, right? Well, so when going back now to when Trump went over to Venezuela and had them go get Maduro. So my kids were over, like I said, in Puerto Rico the week before. And they came back, but my oldest daughter had considered staying a little bit longer. And I don't know, something just told me, I was like, girl, you better come back home. Like, I was saying it like as far as, because she's extending her time. She always be trying to take advantage when it comes to the kid, because she has 2 kids. So them being with the daddy, right? She'll try to take advantage. Well, they can keep them a couple of more days because listen, my daughters, both of them, they gonna make sure them daddies take care of them kids. They do not play. It's like, we are co-parenting. It is equal parenting time. This is the time you have them. This is the time I have them, right? They gonna make sure they got their free time. But the oldest one, she was going to stay. So I was like, no, because it was something she needed to do with my grandson for school. So I was like, you need to come back. So that was the main reason why she came back. So, but if not, she would have been in Puerto Rico when he went and did what he did with Maduro, and flights were stopped in Puerto Rico. And I always tell my kids, like, y'all need to be careful when you are moving around and traveling around because that birth certificate and that ID you got, that might not mean nothing in the long run. And the reason I say that is because what's happening right now is just reminding me of what happened with the Fugitive Slave Act. It was just a hearing last week on birthright citizenship. Like, what all of this is key indicators in telling us that something is in the works, something is in the midst. And for us to be naive enough to think that it is not going to happen to us, that's why I always ask the 2 questions. What is the difference in the molecular structure between Black and brown immigrants? And the answer is there is none. There is nothing, no difference between the molecular structure of melanin between Black and brown immigrants. It is the same. And so when you are riding around out here in the street and a police officer is looking at you, they could easily say, oh, I thought that was a Hispanic American or an African who's here illegal. And then this gives them probable reason to stop you, to question you, to have contact with them. And this heightens your risk for police contact and for some type of altercation to happen. And for the first time, there are actually people of color like going to the polls and they voted for this to happen. That's what makes me so perplexed. So I want to believe like that at this point, I guess, that people of color have woken up to what they are looking at. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, he just did an interview with Fox News talking about those people, some of those people, they are not the same as you. They don't have the same genetics as you. He's talking to a white man. He is a white man talking to a white man. And he is on there doing an interview. And this is what he said. But you still got some Black people saying, oh, he's not racist. He's not a racist. or they still thinking he got something for them, or is doing something for them. He don't care nothing about nobody. I don't think he care about white people, to let alone caring about anybody of any other color or race or ethnicity. He don't care. Jared Kushner is over there making $5 billion deals in the Middle East. Like this is crazy. Why he's acting on behalf is part of Trump's envoy. Like, none of this would, no other president would be allowed to do a 1/10 of what this man has done. This is so crazy. And so many people, like, they kept saying, well, he's not going to be allowed to do this. Well, they're not going to let him do that. Well, we have this in place. And every time we turn around, he does it. He sent a whole plane full of people to El Salvadorian prison in El Salvador, the worst prison, on one of the worst prisons on the map. And then when the judge told him he need to go get them people back, did he go get them people back? No. And then he paid them people money to take those people. You said our people too busy. Miller, you said our people too busy carrying on down there in Houston. Lord help us. Listen, Miller, I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know what's about to happen with this man. I don't know what kind of attack. And see, this is the thing. This is the other thing. Y'all, it might not be an attack while he's sitting in that White House. Now, the Iranians have made it clear they want him and his people. They have made that very clear. They want him and his people. But what we don't realize is that he has made us vulnerable to anybody, for anybody who is going to come after him and be president, that is going to attempt to try to fix this foreign relation problem that he has caused. Because listen, what does it say, y'all? The people be drinking and being merry, and then comes the flood. That's exactly, that is so prophetic and profound even to this day. They were having fun, drinking, being merry, and then here come the flood. And that's exactly what is gonna happen. Like, so many people are being, listen, these people Americans need to get out of whatever country they in and get back to the United States. I don't feel like we are not safe here right now. But anywhere else that Americans are in the world, y'all are not safe. Y'all are not safe. Right, when we least, exactly, Tiz, when we least expect it. When we least expect it, it is going to happen. This is a mess. I could not believe that. I was like, I have to come and talk to y'all and ask y'all, did y'all hear about him with this email sent out from this with this foundation, this donation shit he's doing? Like, so many things that he could be, that they had to get rid of him. Yeah, Tiz, listen, I tell my kids, do not travel outside of the country right now. I be telling people, everybody I know, don't travel outside the country, but Tiz, these people don't listen. And listen, I love traveling. I love going out the country. I ain't doing that shit right now. I'm not doing it right now. Listen, we are vulnerable to travel within the country because of what he's done. Right, nothing, Tiz, not a damn thing. I'm waiting for all of the people who just had all of this hope that he was going to do all of this stuff and make it back. By the time after the first week of him being in the White House, he warned them, Tiz. He told them, if egg prices don't go down, don't be upset, don't be shocked. It's gonna be okay. After the first week of being in the White House, he campaigned talking about egg prices, and then after the first week, he told them, if they don't go down, it's okay, it's all right. Like, it is no reason why we are here again. They should have believed him the first time. The first time he was in there, If they believed him from the first time from what he did, we wouldn't be back here again. And so that's why I don't got no empathy, no sympathy, no nothing for nobody who voted for this man. Every time last night, I would hear a different news anchor say, this is not what the people who voted for him were looking for him to do. I was like, yes, they were. I'm screaming. I'm screaming at the TV. Yes, they were. This is exactly what they wanted from him. I don't give a damn with the people who voted for him. I'm worried about those of us who didn't vote for him. And all I do is plead the blood of Jesus H. Christ over their door and pray that wherever he is doing, that it passed over every door of everybody who knew not to go to no poll and vote for this man, because this man is not nothing but devastation and destruction and disaster. That is it. That's all he brings. Devastation, destruction, and disaster. You said he basically told his voters what exactly we're going to do. I guess I don't know what they thought. I don't know what they claim they was listening to, Tears. That's the thing that get me now. Now all of the people that the people go out into the street and talk to that voted for him, and now they so upset and talking about this is not what they wanted him to do. What were you listening to? Because I heard what he's doing is what I heard him do. And why does he think that NATO wants to help him do anything right now what he's doing with Iran after what he did with Maduro and then what he's threatening to do over in Greenland? Like, that is one of their territories, but Denmark. Greenland is Denmark. Like, Denmark is part of NATO. Why would he think that NATO want to help him do what he's doing here when they worried about, is this man serious about what he's saying he's going to do over there? While everybody is condoning what he's doing over in Iran right now, while everybody is condoning what he did over in with Maduro over in Venezuela, you don't think NATO is saying, is this man serious about what he's planning to do to Denmark? You don't think NATO is sitting over there worried about what Putin's next move is going to be on them? You don't think that it's no proximity between Russia and NATO and the NATO countries of NATO? You don't think they're worried about encroachment, what he might be planning to try to do to them? You don't think that the Zelensky has been praising what's going on over there in the Ukraine? I guess he is in an awkward, weird position where he has to do that. But to me, I feel like he needs to be concerned because Putin is seeming to like this, what's going on. Because this establishes him and gives him justification for what he's doing with the Ukraine. For what he did when he annexed Georgia. Like, this is, right now, this is all the ammo that the world needs to show American hypocrisy to the world and why America is not fit to tell anybody what to do. And that's just my opinion. Like, we are not we can understand that the presence of America in countries is supposed to be for a reason, but America is not fulfilling its promise to the people by what it's doing right now. And the world does not care about all these changing the guards that we keep doing. Because this is other countries, they don't have the changing the guards all of this much. When we have it makes America look bipolar. Every time you turn around, every 4 years, we might have somebody new coming in and then doing some different shit, and they can't count on any type of stability. When they see foreign relations doing like this and they seeing us, we had Trump, then we got rid of him. Then they like, okay, maybe we can get back to some stability on the international stage. Then we got him back again. Now shit unstable again. Now you just making them wonder, well, what can come next? What might they elect next after this nigga? Right? Like, that's what you got. That's what the world is saying. The world is saying, who may they elect after this nigga that might be worse than him, that we will have to deal with? And they have to make plans for that. This shit crazy, y'all. You said Trump did not go through the proper protocols and even start this war. He needs to be, exactly. This is an international crime. And Tiz, that's the thing. What he did was an international crime. Whether or not the United States can execute the mission is not the question. Whether or not something needed to be done to ensure that Iran was not able to acquire weapons of mass destruction is not the question. The question is, were the proper protocols followed? And this is the exact reason of how the League of Nations dissolved and we ended up with the UN anyway. Because they were unable to control the Axis power. Well, now we are the Axis power, and the UN is doing nothing to control what we are doing. He is committing international crimes of what he's doing. It's not about what he's doing or the need for if it needs to be done. It's if he's going through the proper channels. And if they're not going through the proper channels, he is committing international crimes. Same as Netanyahu. Like, Netanyahu has to stay in power or not, or else he can be picked up. And that's my point that I'm making. Trump is willingly working with dictators and then claiming he's going after dictators. Like, I don't understand. I just don't. I don't. And I knew, I always said it. I said it even during his first election. That my concern, I was like, he is going to be a domestic disturbance, but the real thing is the international disaster that he can end up causing. Yeah, he does, Tears. He thinks that he is going to find a way for him to sit on the throne. That's why he started trying to make all them changes to the White House, putting all that gaudy ass shit up in there, and then that ended up getting halted because he didn't even go through the proper channels to do that. He didn't even go through the proper channels to do that, and then possibly have exposed those people over there to some goddamn toxic ass shit that then us as the American people, we gonna have to pay for that too. This is everything that this man is doing. He is creating a bill for the American people. And what is gonna happen? The American people are gonna be paying this bill even when he's out of the White House. And then the American people are gonna be so naive that they're gonna blame the people who are requiring the bill to be paid instead of one who created it. Instead of the people who created the bill being blamed, the ones who are going to have to then require that the bill be paid are going to be blamed for it. Just like they did with Joe Biden. They blamed Joe Biden for having to pay the bill that Donald Trump ran up. Like, they don't understand how this works with deficits. When it's a deficit, you gotta pay. You gotta find a way to pay it back. You say, it is going to take years to undo it. Listen, decades, Tears, decades. Because the way that he has dismantled and tore up international relations, I have not seen no goddamn president in the history of my life who has fucked international relations up like this. I have not. And I don't care what people, like I always have to tell people this. I am not a Democrat or Republican. Since I was registered to vote at the age of 18 years old, I have been a registered independent. I have voted for Republicans and I have voted for Democrats. There are some Republicans on the Hill who I had lots of respect for prior to this Trump administration, that now I look at them and I just can't believe it. I cannot believe it. And so for me, it's not about a party thing. I have to speak now for who I think will do what's right to bring us out of this. But if I want to be honest, the presidents that did the best in foreign and international relations were Democratic presidents within my lifespan. They've always had to clean up what a Republican president fucked up on the international stage. And it makes it them being able to what the Republican presidents in my lifespan have done on the international stage has made it difficult for the Democratic presidents that come in to then regain trust to be able to negotiate. But this man, he has fucked up so bad. You said I think he's going to destroy our company on purpose. Destroy our company on purpose. He is still mad. Exactly. He's mad. He got impeached. He's mad. He lost that election. He's mad that Mike Pence didn't do something to stop that the vote on the electoral college. He's mad about them cases that he caught. Lord God only knows what's about to happen to Fonnie Willis. Fonnie going to jail. Or he's going to at least attempt to, just like he did with Letitia James, with Comey, with all of them. He's trying to find a way to send Fonnie to jail. Worse than a toddler. Kids, because a toddler will forgive you if you give him a piece of candy. This man, he is worse than a toddler. Right? It is like, this is crazy. I don't understand. All I do daily is I pray that the Lord protect and cover those of us who knew better. I want to pray, and I pray for the ones who didn't know no better, Lord. I ain't gonna tell no lie, but I do. It's part of me that's like, Lord, if you got to teach them a lesson, go ahead, so they don't do this again. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what your plan is for them for doing this, right? So, Lord, please don't let nothing happen to them. But if you gotta let something happen to them for them to know to have better sense next time, then go ahead, right? But I just pray to cover the people like with those of us who we knew better. Like, we knew this nigga he's not playing with a full deck. You said you got to give him a compliment instead of can't. Right. But even if you give him a compliment, Tez, I don't think that takes away the bad thing that you said. Because, okay, like, for instance, look at Diddy, right? Diddy tried to find every way he could to try to see if he could get a pardon from this nigga. I know he had to offer him. He don't care about the money, because as much money as people think they say Diddy got, obviously he didn't have enough money to pay Donald Trump to get that pardon. And then because he did not like what Diddy had to say about him. So even a compliment, I'm sure Diddy may have promised him he would do something. And Trump probably knew, like, question, well, what's your reach after all of this? Do you even have the same kind of pull with your community now that you did prior to you getting involved in this? And so he is weighing, like, what is your ability to be successful at being able to fulfill what you promised to him? Like, I don't know. I don't even think a compliment at this point is good enough for him. He is petty as shit. Petty as shit. So you look at that situation with Diddy. You know Diddy was trying to offer something up. You know it was something he was trying to say he was going to do. He did not care, because those comments about him is out there. That's what he cares about. What he cares about, what he had to say about him. So he chose to humiliate him like a fool. And look, he doing the same thing with Marco Rubio, except he is humiliating the hell out of Marco Rubio. You got Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State that don't know what the hell is damn going on. He don't even know what to say when he get in front of the cameras. He don't know what to do in front of the cameras. This nigga always look like he is just ready to commit suicide. I'm not monetizing. I'm like, so I don't know if it's okay for me to say that on here, but ready to unalive himself. That's how he always walking around looking, right? Like, Marco, I do not know why Marco Rubio even did this to himself. I do not understand. And then that goddamn Lindsey Graham, oh my gosh, I think he get on my nerves worse than Donald Trump. I cannot with none of these people. I cannot. They have just fucked up the whole American system of democracy. There is no purpose for this mission. They are not looking for regime change or nothing. They just over there bombing and blowing shit up, and then probably not even blowing them things up that they need to be blowing up, because these people got all of these underground things and all of this stuff. I don't know what we gonna happen. But all I want these people to know is it is not us. We did not do this. This man done this, and y'all do what y'all will with that. But this man did all this shit. But yes, y'all, I wanted to come on here and talk to y'all and tell y'all about him with this stupid ass fundraiser that he got going on, and offer these donors his private security briefings for a fee. Everything is for a damn price with this man. Everything can be sold. And this is why, this is a threat to our national security. Like, they should be wondering who else is he selling shit to for a fee. All of these other people around the world and dictators he cozying up to, and all of these other countries in the Middle East that he cozying up to and getting money, family members getting money from, drone deals and all of this stuff. Like, come on now. You said, Billy, you said this is off topic, about Bernard Jordan. You may have to answer on another live, off topic. But what do you think about, girl? I asked you. I sent you a thing. When you commented on my video from yesterday. Child, first of all, I want to know why. Okay, so we're about to switch gears for a minute and talk about a topic that's happening in that carnal church sector. I don't know if anybody else here follows the carnal church sector. So that name was monikered by St. James. He is one of the content creators in the carnal church sector. And so I like that. I thought that was befitting. I thought that's exactly what describes them. Cause it ain't nothing holy about what they be doing and talking about over there. It is carnal. And when I say that, I don't mean like that the people over there are carnal minded or anything, but just like all of the exposing and all of it's just a bunch of scandal. It's a bunch of church scandal stuff going on within the church community, the larger church community. And so these content creators, they report on it. So I don't know if I'm trying, Miller, before I give my opinion, I want to try to, like, those who are in here who might not know, I want to try to bring them up to speed. So there is a content creator who has kind of like over in that sector, who has kind of like been like at the top of the sector for a long time. His name is Larry Reed. And Larry Reed has been the subject of lots of scandal himself. He's had lots of allegations thrown at him about stuff that he has done. And so he got matched up with this, I guess he called himself Prophet Bernard Jordan, right? And Bernard Jordan, he has been around for a very, very long time. For those people who know anything about like televangelists and stuff like that, he was linked up. He is like a son to Reverend Ike, right? A son of the ministry to Reverend Ike, right? So he comes from a line of televangelist preachers who all they sucking money out of people, just sucking people dry all of their damn money, right? So Bernard Jordan is nobody I never really like paid. I always thought he was just like on some shit. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at him like same with Benny Hinn or any of them other ones. I think Carlton Pearson was the one that I had more reverence and respect for. When I watched how they deplatformed Carlton Pearson after what happened with him and that gospel of inclusion that he adopted, I didn't like that. I didn't like how stuff went, how they shunned him and everything. But Carlton Pearson is probably one of the ones that I had a lot more respect and reverence for when it came coming out of that era of televangelists. But outside of that, I never had no respect for them. And then in addition to Bernard Jordan, his son Manasseh, that's a whole mess. That all of the scandals behind him was a whole mess. And then they was always like just running scams, running all of these robocall scams and shit like that. So they weren't nobody I ever looked at as being reputable, right? So when Bernard Jordan linked up with Larry Reed, it was already something I was suspect of it, because Larry Reed is suspect to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I watched Larry Reed, I listened to him, and the thing is, some of the things Larry Reed he's come out with and has said have been truthful, right? But I look at Larry Reed the same as William McRae, except he was more polished than William McRae, right? And I think that's why he was able to take off and actually take the carnal church sector from William McRae, because before Larry Reed, William McRae was the one, right? But I think the reason why Larry Reed was able to come and suck it from William McRae was because he was more polished, right? And he was more cunning. That's the other thing. So even though when Larry Reed, because one of the major things like that put Larry Reed on the map was the E. Dewey Smith thing, right? And Miller, if I'm wrong, correct me. But I remember, I think the main thing that put Larry Reed on the map was the E. Dewey Smith thing. And E. Dewey Smith is out of Atlanta. And for those who watch, you said you were suspicious with the link up too? Yeah, you only need an ounce of Holy Spirit to know Larry Reed. Exactly, Miller, right? So, Larry Reed was able to really take over into the Cardinal Church sector when he had this thing running on fatherless children, right? He was doing it. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was something talking about fatherless children. And basically, what he was running this series on pastors who were having these illegitimate children, what people would say is illegitimate children. They were, most of the pastors were married, and then they were having these affairs with women either in their church or women of the church. And when I mean of the church, I mean that they frequent conventions and all of those kind of things, right? And they were having these children, and they were keeping them secret. Some of them were privately taking care of the children. Some of them weren't taking care of the children at all. Well, E. Dewey Smith out of Atlanta was one of the pastors that Larry Reed was featuring in this series that he was doing. And it started to create, this is when Larry Reed really started to make a real bold name to himself, right? Within the carnal church sector, and when he took it over from running this series. And so he had already talked about people like Jamal Bryan and all of that kind of stuff. But the E. Dewey Smith thing put him on the map. And then it was also because of Phaedra Park's connection to the story too. So Phaedra, when the court, there was a court dispute, civil dispute between Larry Reed and E. Dewey Smith, and Phaedra was representing Larry Reed initially in that dispute. And Larry Reed ended up losing the dispute. But some kind of way, I don't know, Larry was able to okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I remember, Miller. That it was the E. Dewey Smith story. Yeah, thing. So somehow Larry Reed had become skeptical that Phaedra had done some backdoor dealings, because she already did have a relationship with E. Dewey Smith too, prior to the civil case being filed against Larry. And so after Larry lost the case, he had some questions on whether or not Phaedra was like representing him properly, or was it some kind of, setup or whatever. So, but like I said, so all of this and all of that series is what really gave him rolled him out in the carnal church sector, and then that's when he started to really take over, right? And so, like I said, he's been a subject of many scandals. So then Bernard Jordan, who is, like I said, this old evangelist who was running these scams with all of these robocalls, getting money from people. I be calling them old people and getting them to pay this money for this and that. And so he teams up with Larry Reed. Like I said, I was already skeptical of the whole thing. So recently, so they had all of this stuff going on with the MBN. I don't know if it's M or NBN network or whatever, but they was doing all of this stuff and getting people money for prophecies and giving them special number numerology and all of this crazy ass shit they was doing over there. So then they end up having this big major split, and they fall out with one another. And the fallout ends up in now all of the content creators in the carnal church sector talking about it, because you have a whole set of content creators in the Colonel Church sector that they cannot stand Larry Reed. They cannot stand him. And anything involving Larry Reed, they report on it. And then you have Conscious TV, for those of y'all who know Conscious, because Conscious does content all around the YouTube. So some of y'all might know Conscious, but not know the rest of the content creators. So Conscious is friends with Larry Reed. And often, every time there's a scandal involving Larry Reed, here come Captain Conscious to the rescue, right? Trying to take up for Larry Reed. So, child, now they got this whole scandal going on in the community, and Larry then put out these calls that he recorded of some man trying to say that he was involved in a same-sex relationship with Bishop Bernard Jordan. And now Bishop Bernard Jordan is trying to sue Larry Reed, in addition to several other content creators, in a civil RICO by saying that he was illegally recorded and his recordings were put out there for public consumption to make content, and that it was some kind of this was some kind of conspiracy amongst several content creators, right? So initially, for those of y'all might know, a few months back, there was a more popular story with Bishop T.D. Jakes, where Bishop T.D. Jakes was alleging something similar, because Larry Reed, once again, he was involved in this. Larry Reed had this man on his panel who was trying to say that Bishop Jakes had kissed him and touched his butt when he was 16 and 17 years old, and they was trying to quote unquote extort Bishop Jakes out of millions of dollars to stop running the story. And so Bishop Jakes filed a civil suit, and Tyrone Blackburn, the one who was representing Lil Rod in the Diddy thing, he was representing that defendant. Miller, I can't think of that man's name that was suing TD Jakes. What was his name again? But I can't remember the defendant's name. But Tyrone Blackburn, the one who was the lawyer for Little Rod in the Diddy cat trial, he is the one who's also has this client for Fat Joe. Now I need to watch that, because I think Tyrone Blackburn was deposed by Fat Joe's lawyer recently too, Miller. I didn't watch that either. I need to watch that. But Tyrone Blackburn represented that defendant against TD Jakes. I cannot think of what that daggone man is right now. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, so that was a more popular civil RICO that Larry Reed was included in, right? Dwayne Youngblood, yes. Okay, yeah, Dwayne Youngblood. So Dwayne Youngblood was being sued by Bishop Jakes, along with several John Does. And those John Does, we know based off of how the paperwork was written up, that one of them was Larry Reed. Larry Reed's name was never mentioned, but he was mentioned as his platform being used as one of the John Does, and what was said on his platform, right? And what was alleged that was passed back and forth between them. So Larry Reed was never officially named in the suit, but he was listed as one of the John Does in the suit, right? So that civil RICO involved Larry Reed. Now there is another potential one with Bernard Jordan but Bernard Jordan is the one suing. Bernard Jordan is the one suing, and he's saying that he was illegally recorded, right? And so they are waiting for the paperwork to drop, because I think it's been said that the case has been filed, Miller. I think that's what it said. But a lot of the individuals that are mentioned are saying they have not yet received paperwork, but they have retained counsel, right, that are mentioned. So the Thais report was mentioned. He is one of the individuals in the Carnal Church sector. He also does some housewives content too, I think. But the Thais report was mentioned. Mad Church Disease, Marcellus is said to have been mentioned. Conscious TV, Larry Reed, and then what's the man's name that supposedly Justin something. That's the one that I guess Bishop Bernard Jordan was engaged in the same sex situation with. So this is all unfolding in the carnal church sector. And this is what I think about it, Miller. I just wanted to give like everybody a background before I tell you, Miller, what I think about it. This is what I think. I want to know, why do all of these gay men always gotta out these gay men? Like, why is most of the news that comes out of that carnal church sector outing someone? Justin Edwards. Okay, yes, Justin Edwards. So Justin Edwards is the one that it is being said is in this same-sex relationship with Bishop Bernard Jordan. And this is the subject of the phone calls. Larry is claiming that Justin was the one who initially recorded the initial calls. And then Larry was on a call with Justin. Bishop Jordan had called in the middle of that call, and then Justin merged the calls, and then Larry Reed recorded a conversation that was being had between the two of them. And then because of the things that Bishop Bernard Jordan and his son Manasseh and were running about Larry Reed and all of his financial troubles, all of the things that he was, had going on because of their falling out, then they used this to counter Bishop Bernard Jordan, and I guess like to try to get Bishop Bernard Jordan to stop talking about the split, that they were trying to use these calls to blackmail him and to silence him from being able to speak about what happened with the split with him and Larry. And that they were going to put out these calls, right? So, but the thing is that the calls never came out. But there was lots of drama surrounding the calls coming out, and lots of commentary and lots of suggestive things being said about what was on the calls. And this made like a whole lot of commentary within the carnal church sector. And like I said, I do not understand why coming out of the carnal church sector that almost every single story has to do with a sex scandal. Almost every one. And then the majority, I'm going to say at least 85%, has to do with outing someone. And the people who are outing somebody are gay themselves, or bisexual, or I don't know what the other terms are, but they themselves are not straight men that are doing this. And so I don't understand why that's always a thing. I don't really think that Bishop Bernard Jordan discussing the fallout between him and Larry warranted them to then come out and talk about his sexuality, or his I guess him wanting to keep his sexuality a secret or whatever. I don't think that it called for them to do that. But every time that is what Larry does, because that's how he kind of like gets back at people. And this is the point that Bishop Jakes, I think, was making. And when he filed, now that case that Bishop Jakes, it got dismissed. So I don't know whether there was some backdoor conversation, background agreements, whatever. I don't know why or how it came to be dismissed, but Bishop Jakes did dismiss the case. But I don't know why every time that it's a story going, that it has to be with them outing someone. But I do believe, Miller, that Justin and Bishop Bernard Jordan was not doing no karate, as Bishop Jordan suggested, because one of the calls that was played, there was some sounds being made. And then when Bishop Jordan was asked about Prophet Jordan, I don't know what Bishop Prophet, I don't know what the Bernard Jordan is what I call him. When he gave an explanation, he said that he had fell on top of Justin because they were doing karate. And that was the sound that was heard on the call. I don't believe none of that. They was in there doing whatever. That's their business. I don't know. But I feel like, Miller, that Larry was attempting to use Justin the same way that he used Youngblood. That's the thing. I feel like Larry was doing the same thing that he did when he was trying to use Youngblood. And look, Miller, I don't know if you saw when I posted this, but one day we were in Pam's chat, Pam Esquire, and this is when the Bishop Jakes lawsuit had first released, right? You said, I just don't think the call was sexual in nature. I think Larry Reid played it up that way. I think it was. I think because, Miller, this is the thing. The other things that were being said, I think that it was sexual in nature. But like I said, I think that Larry attempted to try to scare Bernard Jordan with this, to try to stop him from talking about things that Larry got going on, because Larry is about to probably more than likely be named in some, allegedly, be named in some suits surrounding all of that stuff with that NBM network or NBN, whatever the heck the network is called. And that's why they changed the name and all of this stuff. It's a lot of lawsuits that's about to come out of that. I think it's a lot of people that is about to go after them, saying that they were scammed. You said by him suing, those calls will be played in the courtroom. Yeah, and that's the part that, but see, I think what Bishop Jordan is trying to count on is that the content of the calls are not as important to the case, because it's the illegal recording of the calls. So you see what I'm saying? Like, he was under the assumption that Larry was in Dubai at the time of the calls, and he thought that's where the violation was. But according to Larry and Conscious TV, Larry wasn't in Dubai. They had proof of where Larry was when the call was recorded. The call that Bishop Jordan thought Larry had was not the call that they claimed that they had. It was a different call. And so there's some dispute there. And so it's possible that Bishop Jordan did not he might not have known what he was doing and didn't realize which call was actually heard. That's why, Miller, I believe that it's true, because in reality, I think Bishop Jordan did tell on himself. I think he told on himself about what was going on, because the call that Bishop Jordan is admitting to, that he got so upset about, that is not the one that Conscious and Larry claimed that they had. And then Larry is claiming that he did not know anything about the content of that call until Jordan admitted to it on St. James' platform. And after Larry and them mentioned about having calls. So I don't know. That's why I think it's legitimate, is because I think Bishop Jordan actually told on himself. I think if he would have just kept quiet and let it run its course, maybe it wouldn't have, maybe they would have went and told up on their self. Or maybe they would have been talking about the call he was talking about, and they would have gave more information to confirm that was the call. But by him jumping too prematurely, I think he allowed them to come up with a game plan. And the game plan is that Larry was not recording that particular call that Bishop Jordan thought he was recording. That he was recording a whole different call, where Larry had already arrived back into the United States in Atlanta. So that's supposed to be the defense for this situation. And so I think, but on the Bernard Jordan side, I think it was more about, Bishop Jordan's been talking to William McCray. We were telling everything. Yeah, I gotta get caught up, because I didn't even watch. I watched like a little portion, Miller, of the interview that he did with William McCray, but not the whole thing. I fell asleep. So I gotta go back and watch that original one, and then I know that I think he's been on there again. I gotta go back and see. But yeah, this whole thing is a mess. But it is clear that Larry Reid is doing stuff to blackmail these people. He's doing the same exact thing that they're accusing William McCray of doing. The very same thing. Like, they keep trying to say that, and Conscious is famous for saying that William McCray is blackmailing these people. But Larry is doing it too. Larry is doing it too. It is the reason that TD. Oh, wait a minute, Miller. I wanted to say this. So I want to go back to this. So I caught Larry, but I also might have put him on to something too, though, Miller. So we were in Pam Esquire's live when the Bishop Jakes civil case dropped, right? And Pam was reading the paperwork, and so Larry came into the chat. So Larry was basically saying, I never get no money. I didn't never had nothing to do with no money. All of this other stuff. So because Bishop Jakes had mentioned something in the paperwork, or his attorneys had mentioned something in the paperwork in regards to Larry saying on a live about a profit, about money exchange, right? And so Larry is like, that's a lie. I never said that. I never did that, blah, blah, blah. So in the chat, I typed this. I typed it in the chat. I didn't think that he was going to see it or pay attention to it or respond to it or anything. But I was like, no, we not about to do this, right? So I was like, let me figure out a way I could say this without just blatantly saying it, right? So I put in the chat and I said, well, maybe he's talking about, I remember one time you were live and you were discussing the issue about Manasseh, about TD Jakes and Manasseh, because Larry had put out this information that there was some inappropriate activity that had taken place between TD Jakes and Manasseh, and that Manasseh is Bernard Jordan's son, and that Manasseh received a settlement from it, which is why Manasseh never went forward with the story and continued to tell the story. And so Larry, shortly after it was determined that Manasseh wasn't going to talk about it anymore, Larry basically came on and made a public statement about him not talking about it. And then Larry said this. He said, because every time, I let somebody utilize my platform, they always say that they are going to come back and bless me, later down the line if, they are able to gain something from it. But they never do. They never do. Right? So in Pam's chat, I put something like I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but I said what he said, right? Because it was, like I said, it was in a live that was close to after the situation that happened with Manasseh, and Manasseh then decided he wasn't going to move forward with discussing anything anymore. Now, Manasseh never named Jakes. Larry Reed named Jakes as the person who did this to Manasseh. And supposedly Larry Reed had gotten a hold of some phone calls and some messages because he had gotten on Manasseh's computer or something. And I honestly think that that's where the fallout started, Miller, to be honest with you. I think that's really where the fallout started, with that. Because then I think with them John Does and all of that stuff that was named in Youngblood lawsuit, I think that would have something to do with that Manasseh situation to prove that Larry was attempting to try to extort Jakes of money, right? That he was using other people to try to extort money out of Jakes. And I don't know, but I think with this Bernard Jordan situation, we might see a similar allegation. Because Larry, it was confirming, Manasseh even said, Larry came to Manasseh and asked Manasseh for some money. And then I guess Bernard ended up giving some money loaning some money to Larry that Larry was supposed to pay back, but it wasn't the amount that Larry really wanted to get. And so it's these allegations that Larry is attempting to extort these people and threatening to maybe run these stories in the way, but he's more nuanced than William McCray and how he comes around about doing it, though. That's the thing. And so he always has Conscious TV, who is always, like I said, Captain Conscious, come with the cape right behind him, trying to save him and give him some validity. You said, and remember, Bernard Jordan was estranged from his side for exactly, Miller. And so, like I said, I think Larry is like using all of the stuff what he knows in order to try to blackmail these people, and that this is how then he ends up getting like most of his money. Honestly, that's just my opinion. I think most of his money is because even when you look at the E. Dewey Smith situation, when we go back to that, So after he lost that case, then something happened, and then I don't know whether or not E. Dewey Smith decided not to pursue collecting on that. But then there was some situation where he hired Larry as a consultant. And then I was wondering, okay, is it because Larry has more stuff on E. Dewey Smith than now somehow he's now hired him as this consultant to try to like public relations consultant to help him reshape and rebrand his image? And I never seen nothing that Larry did to reshape or rebrand his image. And so, like I said, my thing is they keep on trying to accuse William of threatening to run these stories, and this is how William is extorting money out of these people. But I feel like Larry is doing the same thing, just in a more nuanced way. In a more nuanced way, I feel like that's what he's doing. And honestly, that's what I think about it. But Miller, did you see the live that Marcellus or Man Church Disease that he did about the network stuff, the changing the names, the changing of CEO and all of the executive board and stuff? And Larry is now just I forgot what they called him. Like Larry is just like a hired employee of the network or something now. And it's because of all of these lawsuits that they potentially having coming down the pipe. And so that's why when you saw Bernard Jordan's paperwork, you see all of these different things named, because they are trying, anybody who's trying to come after Larry, they're trying to catch up to how they keep on rebranding and renaming and re-registering these companies. So like I said, I don't know. It's something, and I think it's something big we're gonna see come out. It's come down the pipe. But yeah, I think right now all of them have done, Miller, is opened themselves up to exposure. They have opened themselves up to be exposed. And I think the person with the most clean, well, the two people with the most clean hands in the situation, Miller, are Marcellus, and people might want to not believe it, but Thais keep on saying he do not want to do nothing to be brought up in nobody's nothing. He don't want no parts of it. He didn't even want to talk about it. I think the two cleanest people in this situation, they might end up being the ones that, in order to, well, Marcellus is so far removed from it. The fact that he was named in it, I think that was just to try to cause some conflict between him and Daryl Moore, right? But Thais is going to, because this the thing, Thais did witness some things. Whereas Thais did not participate in some stuff, it's some stuff that Thais know and some things that Thais witnessed. And Thais ain't trying to be in nothing. He is not trying to do nothing to destroy his platform. So I think in the end, Thais is going to have to turn over some information that could end up eventually be damaging to this whole situation. But I think in the end, I think it opens them all up for exposure. They all are going to be exposed on some level. You know what I'm saying? It's going to all impact them on some level with this whole thing. Yeah, Shamako and Kendall, yeah. They are, and then it's a lady, I think, Miller. It's another lady. They all three now are the owner and CEO of the company, and then Kendall, and it's another lady that's on the board or something, and then Larry is just like some kind of consultant to the. I don't know what they named him or whatever, but like I say, they keep on re-registering this company, doing all of this stuff, because it's a whole bunch of scamming ass shit that then went on. And they know people are coming for their money. That's why Larry got his ass out the country. Over there he said no. I think he done took himself back over to Dubai, because he left Dubai and went. I forgot where he said he went after he left Dubai. But I think he's back at his house in Dubai now. You said, I think Bernard Jordan named Marcellus to literally teach him a lesson, because Marcellus wouldn't line up with him when he was trying to bring all of the podcasts together. That, and Yeah, the nasty stuff that Marcellus, because Marcellus stayed on his neck. Marcellus stayed on Larry Reid's neck and on Bernard Jordan. He didn't take nobody's side. And so he does not like the stuff that Marcellus had to say about him. And the primary reason, because he knows Marcellus is telling the truth. What Marcellus is saying, Marcellus is telling the truth. For all intents purposes, Marcellus is the historian of the Cardinal Church sector. He is the one who keeps the history intact. Where the rest of them try to, at times, change the history in order to suit themselves. But Marcellus keeps the history intact in the sector. And they don't like that. So Marcellus can go back all the way to Bernard Jordan's relationship with Reverend Ike and show the pattern of behavior. You know what I'm saying? That we're seeing. That this is not nothing new. And so this is why this is not nothing to be respected. You know what I'm saying? Or acknowledged. And so, yeah, I do too. Marcellus was named it was for humiliation, to be humiliated, to try to make Daryl Moore think that some kind of way Marcellus would have been willing to work with Larry. And Daryl know better than that. Daryl know better than that, that Marcellus ain't working with no Larry. And the thing is that Marcellus continuously came out here, Miller, and kept saying, like, that Larry, he kept saying that he didn't believe it was no tapes. He didn't believe it was no recordings, because Marcellus was like, he did not hear no recording. And what the email that Marcellus received, and this is something that all of them have confirmed from what I heard. The email that Marcellus received did not have a recording on it. The email that he received had mention of recordings, but it did not have a recording. And so Marcellus, the whole time he was out here, he was saying he didn't want to talk about it because Marcellus was like, I don't believe that any recordings really even exist. That's what Marcellus was originally saying. So the fact that he got bought into this, that it was crazy. You said Marcellus is the perfect age group to know both. Oh, exactly, Miller, exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, so the way that they try to run or try to switch stuff or change the narrative, it doesn't work because Marcellus can always come and clean it up, and that's what they don't like. They don't like them. That's why they really don't like Marcellus. You know, it's some things about Marcellus that be asinine sometimes, I gotta admit. But the real reason why they don't like Marcellus, because Marcellus comes and cleans the story up every single time. See, Daryl don't know all of that. And they are mad that he is Daryl's and Moore's ally. That is the other thing. He cleans up the story, and then being Daryl Moore's ally, that don't look good for none of them. So that's what they really have out for Marcellus. Like I said, I don't even know for Larry to even send the email to Marcellus, to think that Marcellus was even going to be interested, knowing how Marcellus feels. But that, to me, that was a setup. To me, that was a whole setup. Like, you trying to bring somebody into something, or you trying to bait somebody in, and then like I said, and then I don't know why he thought Marcellus was gonna fall for that bait and switch. But it was like, did you really think that you could send a recording? Now he tries to claim he never had no intentions to send a recording to Marcellus. But I believe that if Marcellus would have asked him for the recording, Larry would have sent it, because Larry would have wanted someone else to leak it rather than him. Like, why was Larry constantly coming out here talking about, oh, I'm not going to leak the recording. I'm never going to do that. That was my message. I thought I would never do nothing. Well, you allowed Conscious to hear it, and Conscious kept talking about the contents of the recording. Even though y'all didn't play it, y'all still kept talking about the content of the recording. So did you think that was any better? Like I said, Larry be thinking he's so intelligent, the way that he tries to bring something forth or try to talk about something. And it's like, I can see right through it. You're using Conscious TV to come out here and talk about the contents of the recording. And then you want somebody to challenge it. So then you can use Conscious to release the recording in order to try to preserve his reputation. And that's how y'all gonna say that went. That's how y'all gonna say that went. No, you said I was sad when Marcellus and St. James parted ways. It was so petty. Could have been Bernard Jordan in the background. I like St. James, but I've been side-eyeing him ever since. Yes, I have been side-eyeing St. James ever since his connection with with Bernard Jordan too. I don't know. Before I really looked at him as an integral piece within that sector. But after he teamed up with Bernard Jordan, like, I'm like saying, James, you know that these people are a scam. Why would you team up with them? Why would you? But then again, it's all about the fame. It's all about the stardom. It's all about notoriety. It's all about making the money. It's all about the clicks and the views. And the thing is, because another one, Miller, that I was shot was King Jobs. Like, I know everybody I know Conscious keeps trying to, like, insulate and protect King Jobs and how he responded. But it still made me look at him with the side eye that he even entertained Jordan for any reason. Like, Jobs, you know what it is. You know what it is. But I don't know whether he was desperate trying to get that money so that he can satisfy that lawsuit that he got against him. I don't know. But it made me look at King Jobs different too. Cause I like Jobs. You know what I'm saying? They all got their stuff with them, but I like Jobs. I like Thais. I like all of them within their own right. You know, within their own respect. You said they pushing King Jobs out of the spotlight. They been King Jobs. Yeah, they been did that. They been did that. But I could not believe that Jobs would even entertain Bernard Jordan at all. I don't expect him to entertain Larry Reed, but I don't expect him to entertain Bernard Jordan either. And I couldn't believe that he even entertained him. And then when they started running the thing about him asking, I guess, Bernard Jordan for the $20,000 or whatever, or however much money it is that he asked them for, like, and then the way that they spin that narrative, like, I don't know, Miller, I was looking at that suspect too. But girl, I gotta go here. I gotta go get my lunch. I ordered it already, but I gotta go pick up my lunch, and so I could get back to work. It was good talking with you guys today. I'm gonna try to see if I can. I probably can't do a lunchtime live tomorrow because I know it's something that I gotta do. But I'm gonna try to come back with you guys on Friday in order to do another lunchtime live. And I hope you all have a great day. I hope you all had a great lunch. I hope you all enjoyed this live, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.